So this is a story of a little girl called Minnie. Minnie's father, Rabindranath Tagore, his wife, some servants and lot of relatives lived in a big house in Calcutta. So Minnie was a very naughty girl and she was a very inquisitive girl actually. She had lots and lots of questions all the time. So she used to run around the house, jump, meet whoever came to the house, and also had many questions for Rabindranath Tagore. She would come in his study, ask a question and had no patience to hear the answer. So the next question followed. After that another followed. So very talkative, chirpy girl she was. Once when she came to the study of Rabindranath, she saw from across the window Kabuliwala. So she started calling him Kabuliwala, Kabuliwala, come fast. So Kabuliwala came. He was a little hesitant, but Rabindranath ji called him, so he came inside. When she saw a huge man standing in front of her with a different attire, a long beard, a turban, she got nervous. She clutched onto her father's leg and started looking at Kabuliwala, but was hesitant to talk. After the introduction, she was a little relaxed, and then gradually meeting him every day made both of them very friendly to each other, and they loved talking. He would come every day, bring some nuts for her, almonds, pistas, kaju, everything that he had in his bag. He would give some to her every day. So she was happy and she had lots of things to ask him about Kabul, what he did, where his family was, who all were there in the family, etc. etc. So they both were good friends for many, many months. Suddenly one day Rabindranath Tagore saw outside the gate there was lot of noise coming, and there was police who were catching hold of Rehmat the Kabuliwala and taking him away. He had lots of blood on his clothes and one knife in his hand. So he got a little surprised. What has happened? He seemed to be quite a good man. So when he asked the police, he was told that a lot of people had taken some loans from him. One of them was refusing to pay back, so he had some tiff with that man, and he killed him with a knife that was in his hand. Suddenly, while this thing was being narrated, Minnie came out running from inside the house and she saw Kabuliwala. So she looked at him and said, Kabuliwala, are you going to Sasural? Because that was their code word. He would always ask her, Minnie, Sasural jayegi? And Minnie didn't know what Sasural was at such a young age. So she used to start laughing. And today when he was in that condition, Minnie thought that he is going to Sasural. This is some kind of a thing that she had imagined. So he started smiling and he said, yes, Sasural hi to ja raha hoon. I'm going to Sasural, my in-laws. And Minnie wasn't able to understand, but she was sad that something is not right. So the police took Rehmat and the Kabuliwala left from there. Rabindranath has written that I'm surprised that Minnie started growing up so fast that she forgot that episode of Kabuliwala in her life. She never mentioned him after that, and she made many more friends. Her life carried on. So one day when she was getting married, the whole house was being decorated. There was Shehnai all over around the house, playing so beautifully, and then there were floral arrangements, beautification done to the house, many people working, gathering, lots of sweets being prepared, etc. Rabindranath Tagore was working in his study, doing some work related to the calculations of the wedding preparation. So it was Minnie's wedding. Suddenly a man came inside the house who had shaven. He was neatly dressed and he was unrecognizable. Rabindranath could not recognize him. So he asked, "Who are you?" So Rahmat smiled and said, "Saab, have you not identified me?" When he spoke, Rabindranath did. So he said, "Oh, you are there, Rahmat Kabuliwala." So he smiled and said, "Yes." Rabindranath has written that at that moment I felt a little awkward with his presence in the house on such an auspicious occasion. But so that he doesn't stay for too long, he told Rahmat, "Please come some other day. Today we have a few functions in the house, so we'll not be able to entertain you." He understood and said, "Okay, I'm going," but made a small request if he could meet the little girl. So Rabindranath smiled. She was no more a little girl, she was getting married. So he said, "Minnie's wedding is there, so it would not be possible to call Minnie." Rahmat started to leave. Suddenly Rabindranath ji thought that it would be hurtful for him to go without seeing Minnie. So he called Minnie and he stopped Rahmat. Minnie came. She was feeling shy, dressed up as a bride, and had forgotten Kabuliwala. She stood next to her father. So he introduced her to Kabuliwala, that when you were small he used to come. Kabuliwala had got a few nuts borrowed from some friends of his for her. He still imagined her being a small little girl. He took those out and offered those to her. She very shyly accepted it and went inside. Rabindranath has written that he wanted to pay him for the nuts that he had given. Rahmat in return said that he used to come to meet Minnie because his daughter in Kabul was the same age, and he took out a paper from his pocket which had the print of a little hand of his daughters in Kabul. So he said Minnie always reminded him of his daughter, so he used to get her the nuts, badam, pista, etc. because he saw his daughter in Minnie, and he never came to sell it or for money in return. That shook Rabindranath Tagore. He immediately took out a 100-rupee note, which was a very big amount in those days, and he handed over to Rahmat. He said, "Rahmat, it is time for you to go back home and be with your family. Your daughter and your wife would be waiting for you." So he thanked him profusely and left after accepting that money. Rabindranath has written that that moment was very precious to him, because it was not a murderer versus a poet or a writer at that time. It was two fathers facing each other, where they could understand the love for their child. So this is the story of Kabuliwala, very, very beautifully written by Rabindranath Tagore. I would request all to read and listen to the story again and again. So now Nini time. Good night.